Yang Berusaha Mr. Arham Abdul Rahman, Chief Executive Officer, Malaysian Investment Development Authority, Mr. Jafri Ibrahim, CEO of Collaborative Research in Engineering, Science and Technology Center, CRES, Ms. Shirin Jasmine Ali, Director, Supply Chain and Business Continuity Section, Industrial Development Division, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, Dr. Wan Nur Aisyah binti Wan Omar, Deputy Undersecretary, Policy Planning and Research Division, Ministry of Higher Education, Ms. Yogita Muniandi, Principal Assistant Director, Center of Excellence Section, IPT Research Excellence Division, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Higher Education, Mr. Ahmad Faisal bin Ghazali, Principal Assistant Secretary, Fund Division, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI, Mr. Nik Ahmad Sharil bin Nik Muhammad Nabil, Senior Assistant Director, Manufacturing, Trade, Mining, Agriculture and Forestry Consultation Division, Tax Policy Department, Inland Revenue Board, Ms. Shafinas Salim, Director, Technology Hub, Development Division, Cyberview Sendirian Berhad, Executive Director of MIDA. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum and Salam Sejahtera. My name is Muhammad Shafiq and I will be your host for today's event. On behalf of MIDA, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the Research and Development for Business virtual event, or in short, RD4B event. Ladies and gentlemen, the Malaysian government recognizes the importance of innovation and provides funding throughout the creation, research development and commercialization stages of R&D through its ministries. Hence, MIDA, as a promotional investment agency under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, are working tirelessly to make sure that businesses' innovation initiatives are supported and to sustain investment in R&D sector. This event is one of MIDA initiatives to continuously promote R&D and innovation and increase awareness of the importance of R&D activities among industry players. This event serves as a platform for businesses to familiarize with government departments and agencies that are involved in promoting R&D in Malaysia, such as Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI, Ministry of Higher Education, MOHE, MIDA, Inland Revenue Board, Cyberview Sendirian Berhad, and Collaborative Research in Engineering, Science and Technology Center, CRES. It is a great avenue for new and existing businesses that would like to expand their businesses in the R&D segment to understand further on available government assistance in helping the businesses to make R&D investment. Now, without further ado, I'm pleased to invite Mr. Arham Abdul Rahman, CEO of MIDA, to deliver his welcoming remarks.
Encik Jafri Ibrahim, CEO of CRES, for Shirin Jasmine Ali, Director of the Supply Chain and Business Continuity Section, MITI, Dr. Wan Nur Aisyah binti Wan Omar and Puan Yogita Muniandi from the Ministry of Higher Education, Puan Nur Aisyah binti Harudin of MOSTI, Encik Nik Ahmad Sharil from the Inland Revenue Board, and Puan Shafinas Salim, Director, Technology Hub Development Division, Cyberview Sendirian Berhad. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you everyone for joining us in this Research and Development for Business or RD4B program and the launching of the R&D portal. We hope that this program will be an important platform for businesses to familiarize themselves with government departments and agencies involved in promoting R&D in Malaysia. MIDA is glad to have the Ministry of International Trade Industry, MITI, the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI, the Ministry of Higher Education, Inland Revenue Board, CRES and Cyberview with us today. Simultaneously, MIDA is proud to introduce the R&D portal. This new initiative looks to promote companies along the R&D value chain by connecting the stakeholders via the portal. Undeniably, connectivity between the R&D companies, researchers, and academic institutions is tantamount to ensure that R&D initiatives in the country are being realized effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, R&D has become among the most important elements across all sectors as it forms the foundation for industries to grow, develop and innovate. Businesses are highly encouraged to tap into R&D to improve business processes, reduce the cost of doing business, and gain an invaluable competitive advantage. The first thing that comes to mind about R&D is often product-based research. However, R&D can and should be so much more than that. There are many aspects of businesses where innovation can make a significant difference. This includes the efficacy of customer experience and systems that can help businesses to run smoothly. Ultimately, regardless of size or industry, investment in R&D is a strategic cornerstone of modern-day companies wishing to compete, grow, and thrive. This is relevant during good economic times and no less so during times of crisis, where new and more efficient products can shield companies from declining businesses and sets up for stronger growth in subsequent recovery periods while catering to potentially new demands that arise during the crisis. While crisis compels firms to control costs and maintain liquidity, studies conducted over multiple recessions have shown that companies that continue to invest heavily in R&D will grow, while competitors that decrease this investment face an increased risk of business decline. R&D activities signal to both customers and investors that they can rely on the firm to produce superior products. Furthermore, R&D assumes an imminent role in Industry 4.0. With global competition, the manufacturing sector in particular is faced with challenges to adapt new technologies to enhance business models, including the new concept of intelligent factories. The trend toward digitization of the value chain, Industry 4.0, can be considered a game changer for the future. For example, 3D printing enables a digital move from the world of data to the physical as it is being used in producing a prototype. This could significantly reduce various cycles and development times. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Economic Forum Global Leaders in Innovation ranks Malaysia second in innovation economies by upper middle income group, behind China and above Bulgaria. We aspire to be among the top leaders in the region by encouraging our companies to increase their value proposition through R&D. Our efforts have illustrated modest results, with Malaysia's improved ranking from 35th to 33rd place in 2020 in the Global Innovation Index 2020 report. This puts the nations ahead of all ASEAN peers and second only to Singapore. It is also heartening to note that the GII 2020 report has highlighted that Malaysia leads the world in high-tech net export as a percentage of total trade. Malaysia's R&D expenditure was 1.44% of GDP. For comparison, Singapore, China, France, and the USA's R&D expenditure were more than 2% of their respective GDPs, while Germany and Japan's R&D expenditure were above 3%. Notably, Malaysia rose in rank in the innovation output sub-index in the GII 2020 report to 36, up by 3 places, and maintained its position in the innovation input sub-index at 34th. However, there is still room for improvement with the R&D pillar located under the innovation input sub-index, whereby Malaysia recorded a decline of 2 places in 2020, i.e. from 37 to 29th position. To rise to the challenge, the National Policy of Industry 4.0 or Industry Forward is a crucial step as Malaysia seeks to strengthen its ongoing structural reforms to become a developed nation. The policy outlines specific goals and strategies focused on the enhancements of research, innovation, commercialization, and entrepreneurship activities in Industry 4.0 technology to drive national development. This is where MIDA aims to be a partner to facilitate business growth, It is our goal to increase the capacity and capability of Malaysian firms, startups, universities, and research institutes in emerging technology areas. Together, we aim to position Malaysia as the hub of high-value and innovative technology commercialization center. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many government felicitations for R&D. To achieve this goal, the government provides funding throughout the creation, research, development, and commercialization stages of R&D through its ministries. In 2020 budget, the government further expanded the incentive for companies to commercialize the R&D findings of public research institutions and public and private higher learning institutions. The enhanced scope includes non-resource-based work, a deviation from previous guidelines which limited incentive to resource-based undertakings. Let me share with you that as of 31 December 2020, MIDA alone has approved a total of 199 R&D related projects with capital investments of 3.1 billion ringgit Malaysia and 6,949 high-skill jobs created. These approvals comprise 30 R&D companies, 80 contract R&D companies, 46 companies with in-house R&D facilities, 26 R&D status companies, as well as 17 national strategic R&D projects. Among the top sectors in which the R&D projects were approved include electrical electronics, automotive and transport, machinery equipment, as well as chemical and chemical products. MIDA is also encouraging companies to tap upon the Lighthouse program. The program assists companies to accelerate Industry 4.0 adoption to a scalable and impactful stage. Simultaneously, it also hopes to influence ecosystem providers towards similar Industry 4.0 transformation by facilitating companies to address implementation challenges and barriers. Given the cautiously optimistic investment climate due to the current pandemic, MIDA remains positive on the outlook of investment in R&D. We hope to continuously grow investment in R&D and give out utmost support to spur R&D and innovations in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, the best way to predict the future is for us to help create it. So now, we must first equip ourselves with the necessary technical knowledge and capabilities. I would like to applaud all participants who took their time to participate in this RD4B program. I hope this RD4B program will provide all the knowledge necessary for you to embark on your very own R&D projects. Thank you once again to MITI, MOSTI, IRB, CRES, and Cyberview for joining forces with MIDA to organize this program today. In closing, it is my great pleasure to appreciate the R&D portal.
Rahman for the enlightening speech. As mentioned by Mr. Arham in his speech, MIDA would like to take this opportunity to launch our R&D portal to promote companies along the R&D value chain by connecting the stakeholders via the portal. MIDA realized the importance of connectivity between the R&D companies, researchers, and academic institutions to ensure that R&D initiatives in the country are being realized effectively. This next video that we would like to share with everyone here today will explain on the fundamentals of R&D portal as well as how to navigate the portal. Ladies and gentlemen, we present you the introductory video of the R&D portal. Ladies and gentlemen, the IRE portal is one of MIDA's initiatives to provide a platform where stakeholders can get connected, from researchers, businesses, solution providers to ministries and government agencies, to ensure that R&D initiatives in the country are being realized effectively. We hope that participants will look into the iR&D portal and register yourself as an organization or as an individual to get connected with other R&D stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, MIDA has prepared a line of distinguished panelists for today's event from various government agencies, ministries, and bodies. We'll start our main agenda for today with MIDA presentation, which will be delivered by Ms. Siti Alimatun binti Muhammad Rajab. Ms. Siti Alimatun hails from an academic background in the chemical engineering field. She has been playing an active role in driving MIDA for over 21 years, and currently she is the Senior Deputy Director from the Advanced Technology and Research and Development Division. With that brief introductions, Ms. Siti, the floor is now yours.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all participants. A bit introduction of myself. I am Siti Halimatun from Advanced Technology and Research and Development Division. A bit mouthful division name, but in short, at MIDA, we are known as ATRD. I have 21 years of wonderful working experience in MIDA and has served in multiple divisions, namely agro-based, chemical, life sciences, logistics, business and other services, and now in the ATRD. Today, I'll be talking on the available tax incentives and also financial assistance in the form of grant that can be tapped by companies undertaking R&D activities. MIDA is the principal government investment promotion agency, acting as the first point of contact for investors who are interested in setting up projects in the manufacturing or services sectors in Malaysia. MIDA was established in 1967, 10 years after our independence in 1957. And this year, MIDA is already 50 years old. Since then, we are fully committed in our role in transforming Malaysia into higher income economy by attracting quality investment. Besides the headquarters in Kuala Lumpur, we have presence in other 20 overseas offices, 3 in the US, 6 in Europe, 4 in China, 2 in Japan, and 1 each in India, UAE, Korea, Australia, and Singapore. We also have presence in all states in Malaysia except Perlis, which is covered by our Kedah office. Our overseas centers act as point of contact to the potential investors, while our state office's main function is to facilitate investors to realize the investment projects as planned. MIDA role can be segmented into 3 as shown in the slide, from promotion to implementation. In attracting investment into the country, we undertake a lot of investment promotion, either locally or abroad. Before the pandemic, we used to organize specific project mission to meet with potential investors, either by having one-on-one meeting, roundtable meeting, or organizing seminars or briefing. We do also visit production facilities or service providers. The objective is to reach out to our potential client and highlight facilitation that companies can benefit. The one-on-one meeting can be done either at investors' office or MIDA sites. Seminars and briefings are organized when normally there is new incentives or facilitation was announced, and we wanted to reach out to as many potential investors that we can. It can be arranged for specific sectors or in general. Roundtable meetings is more like a dialogue when the invitees normally has some idea or interest in investment. At MIDA, we do evaluate and provide approval for manufacturing license. Under the Investment Coordination Act 1975, manufacturing license is required by a company that undertake manufacturing activities and having shareholders fund of 2.5 million and above, or total full-time employees of 75 or more. Tax incentives are the exemptions given on corporate tax and considered as a cream on top of cake of approvals granted to operate. Our incentives are either in the form of pioneer status or investment tax allowance. The rate of exemptions are ranging from 70% to 100%. Incentives are given to a company that undertake promoted activities. In simple words, promoted activities are the type of products or services that we encourage for investment. One of the promoted activities is R&D. I will elaborate further in next few slides. Together with project approvals, MIDA also can consider expatriate post and import duty exemption on raw materials, consumables, or machinery and equipment required in implementing production or services project. On the implementation, once any project has been approved, our team from state offices, together with our post-invest division, will handhold investors until the project successfully being implemented. At the same time, our talent management division and compliance and monitoring unit will be assisting companies with talent requirement and also advising on specific requirement imposed to the approvers. Okay, now we come to the R&D topic. In MIDA, for purpose of incentives, R&D is defined as any systematic, investigative, and experimental study that involves novelty or technical risk carried out in the field of science or technology, with the object of acquiring new knowledge or using the results of the study for the production or improvement of materials, devices, products, produced or processes. However, there are 7 activities are listed as not considered as R&D activities, including quality control or routine testing, research in the social sciences or the humanities, routine data collection, routine modifications or changes, and cosmetic modifications or stylistic changes made to materials, devices, products, process, or production methods. This definition is in line with the amendment of the Finance Bill 2018, and the same definition also being used by Lembaga Hasil. Okay, any company that fulfill the R&D definitions can be considered for R&D status. Maybe some of you wonder, what are the benefits of having the R&D status? Under Section 34B of Income Tax Act, payment made for use of the R&D services rendered by an R&D status company can be given double deduction. So, any company who appoint or award R&D projects to an approved R&D status company and made payment for that service can deduct the R&D expenditure twice. This initiative is to encourage for more collaboration between an R&D service providers and companies to develop new or improvised products or processes to stay ahead or relevant in business competition. This is win-win situation for both parties, where the R&D status company and the service providers can get more outsourcing R&D project, while the user company can enjoy double deduction. Topic on the double deduction will be covered by Encik Nik Ahmad from Lembaga Hasil. For incentive purposes, there are 3 categories for R&D entities. Under the Promotion of Investment Act 1986, an R&D company is defined as company which provides R&D services in Malaysia to its related company or to any other company, while a contract R&D company is defined as a company which provides R&D services in Malaysia to companies other than its related companies. In-house R&D means that a company carries out R&D within the company in Malaysia for the purpose of its own business. R&D company can enjoy tax incentive in the form of investment tax allowance, A company granted investment tax allowance is entitled to an allowance of 100% on its qualifying capital expenditure incurred within 10 years from the date the first qualifying capital expenditure is incurred. Example of capital expenditures are factory, plant, machinery, or other equipment used for the approved project. The company can offset this allowance against 70% of its statutory income for each year of assessment. The remaining 30% of its statutory income will be taxed at the prevailing company tax rate. Come together with this incentive is the R&D status. So, as explained earlier on the benefit of R&D status, client of R&D company also can enjoy double deduction on the payment incurred for the use of R&D service. As a contract R&D, company can opt either to apply for pioneer status or investment tax allowance. A company granted pioneer status enjoys a 5-year full tax exemption from the payment of income tax, while if company choose ITA incentive, the quantum is the same as per R&D company. Company has to choose which incentive will benefit them most. As a guide, pioneer status is suitable for projects that gives fast return, while investment tax allowance is more suitable for projects with long gestation period and with high capital investment. For info, a statutory income is derived after deducting revenue expenditure and capital allowance from the gross income. For in-house R&D, company can be considered for investment tax allowance of 50% of qualifying capital expenditure incurred within a period of 10 years. The investment tax allowance can be offset against 70% of statutory income for each year of assessment. Besides then looking at the definitions of R&D as per the Finance Act 2018, this slide shows the eligibility criteria that MIDA are looking into our evaluation consideration. This criteria will be imposed as conditions if the project is approved. First is on the source of income. At least 70% of income must be derived from R&D services rendered. For information, IP income is not considered as R&D income, even though R&D has been done prior to the IP generation. Second is on the number of qualified full-time employees. Performing R&D and technical functions must be at least 50% of the total workforce. However, if the R&D activities is in agriculture base, the percentage required is only 5%. This is because we understand that R&D in agriculture involve people who are working in the farm or plantation. Third criteria is on 80% employment must be Malaysian. This requirement is cut across for all MIDA approvals, not only for R&D activities. The fourth criteria is on company must incur adequate amount of operating expenditure annually to support its R&D operation in Malaysia. However, this is only applicable if company is applying for tax incentive. Okay. Apart from the incentives given to the research activities, emphasis will also given to the commercialization of R&D findings. To spearhead the commercialization of local R&D findings in resource-based industries, especially that were developed by the public research institutions, Budget 2005 has introduced tax incentive in the form of tax deduction equivalent to the amount of investment made in the subsidiary company that engage in commercialization of R&D findings. The subsidiary company that undertakes the commercialization of the R&D findings will be given pioneer status with income tax exemption of 100% of statutory income for 10 years. In Budget 2021 announcement last year, the scope of R&D has been expanded to also cover non-resource-based R&D and findings by private higher education institution. To enjoy these incentives, both investing company and subsidiary company must have at least 70% Malaysian equity ownership, and the investing company must own at least 70% stake in the subsidiary company that undertakes the commercialization of the R&D findings. Company is also required to submit a copy of the relevant agreement signed with the approved research institutions on collaboration or licensing. For commercialization of R&D findings by research institutions or public higher learning institutions on resource-based category, the product is not limited to the promoted activities. However, commercialization on non-resource-based industries is limited to the promoted activities. For R&D findings by private higher learning institutions, it is limited to promoted activities. Promoted activities are the list of products or services that has been gazetted and can be considered for incentive. Besides the incentive, MIDA also do provide funding assistance in the form of matching grant. In this session, I would like to take opportunity to talk on grant under Industry Forward program. For those who are not familiar with Industry Forward, it is our national policy in Industry 4.0 launched on 31st October 2018 to drive digital transformation of the manufacturing and manufacturing-related services sectors in Malaysia. The objective of this Industry Forward Intervention Fund is to encourage more local SMEs, stakeholders within the manufacturing and related services sectors to embrace Industry 4.0. This fund is only eligible to SMEs with at least 60% equity is owned by Malaysian and has undergone government-funded Industry Forward Readiness Assessment Program. The aims of Readiness Assessment Program are to assess capabilities and readiness to adopt Industry 4.0 technologies and processes, to identify gaps and areas of improvement or Industry 4.0 adoption, and to recommend further actions to improve efficiency and productivity. The fund is a matching fund with 70-30, where 70% is subsidized by government with maximum allocation of 500,000 per company. From the 70% portion, an upfront payment of 30% will be given to the successful company to kickstart the project. Okay, as mentioned earlier, the fund is made available to the SMEs companies involved in manufacturing activities or manufacturing-related services and must be incorporated under the Companies Act. The definition of SMEs are based on sales turnover and number of employees. For manufacturer, sales turnover is between 300,000 to 50 million and employee is between 5 to 200. Whereas for manufacturing-related services, the sales turnover is between 300,000 to 20 million and number of employees is from 5 to 75. The other requirement is the company must possess a valid business license or manufacturing license and in operation for at least 3 years in the same business line. Only company that have received their readiness assessment report from MPC can make submission. Here is the process flow of this intervention fund. Upon receiving their readiness assessment report from MPC, company can make application to MIDA. MIDA later will evaluate and brought the evaluation for Industry Forward Intervention Fund Approval Committee deliberation. MIDA then will send out approval letter and grant agreement to the successful company. Once the agreement was signed by both parties, MIDA will arrange for 30% disbursement for company to implement the project within 12 months. The remaining 40% of grant will be only disbursed after company completed the project and MIDA through JPPG committee satisfied with the expenditure made. Domestic Investment Strategic Fund or DISF and Industry Forward DISF. The other available grant in MIDA is DISF. However, there are two different categories of DISF, the normal DISF and industry forward DISF. The grant is available to the company with at least 60% Malaysian equity ownership. There are few differences between these two. There are 5 categories of expenditure that qualify under DISF. There are expenditure incurred in undertaking in-house R&D activities, expenditure incurred in training Malaysian employees, purchase of machinery and equipment for modernization or upgrading project, and expenditure incurred in obtaining license or purchase of technology, and also expenditure incurred in obtaining international standards or certification. First is on the matching quantum. The normal DISF will be getting 50% reimbursement from government for its eligible expenditure, while the industry forward DISF will be getting 60%. However, to qualify for industry forward DISF with higher funding from government, company must undertake readiness assessment, and the expenditure made is related to the industry 4.0 and in line with the recommendations in the readiness assessment report. For industry forward DISF, company must adopt at least one of the following 11 4.0 technology pillar to qualify for 60% government funding. The next is on Smart Automation Grant. This Smart Automation Grant or SAG is the fund that introduced under Penjana with the main objectives are to assist local SMEs and mid-tier companies to automate and digitalize operations, production and trade channel, and align with the national policy on Industry 4.0 and to boost domestic investment. Definitely, by doing that, it will reduce reliance on the low-skilled foreign workers and improve efficiency in operation. Also, enhance competitiveness of SMEs and mid-tier companies at the international level. Another objective is to provide job opportunities in high value-added sector. The fund given is on a matching basis, one-to-one, based on eligible expenditure up to a maximum amount of 1 million ringgit. This grant is available for companies incorporated in Malaysia under Companies Act with Malaysia equity ownership of at least 51%. The company must engage in manufacturing activities or services activities that are regulated or governed by any relevant ministry or agency and possess a valid business license. This grant is only eligible for SMEs and mid-tier companies and in operation for at least 12 months. The definition of SMEs and mid-tier are based on sales turnover and number of employees. For SMEs, under the manufacturer category, sales turnover is between 300 to 50 million. Employee is between 5 to 100. Whereas, as for manufacturing related services, the sales turnover is between 300,000 to 20 million and number of employees is from 5 to 75. As for mid-tier company, under the manufacturer category, sales turnover is between 50 million to 500 million. Whereas for manufacturing related services, the sales turnover is between 20 million to 500 million. And the Smart Automation project must meet at least one of the committed deliverables. Okay, here are the committed deliverables that related to increase in productivity. There are reduction of unskilled workers, reduction in man hours, increase in production volume, quality improvement through reduction in defect rate, increase in service delivery, and reduction of man hours in delivering services. The formula is attached together in the application form. This is the process flow of Smart Automation Grant. The flow is almost the same as the flow for intervention fund, except that the liberation of Smart Automation Grant Approval Committee is based on pitching by applicant. Upon approval, MIDA and company will sign agreement. As the grant is reimbursable basis, after completion of project, only company can claim for the 50% matching from government, and the approval is through Grant Disbursement Committee in MIDA, or known as GPPG. And important to note that the project approved must be completed within 12 months from the date of approval letter issued by MIDA. For this Smart Automation Grant, company may join special acceleration program with panel banks to help in refining the company's knowledge on automation and digitalization before submitting application to MIDA. After obtaining approval from MIDA for purchase of approved machinery or equipment or software, company may apply for hire purchase financing from the panel banks and use MIDA approval letter as supporting document. Submission for this grant can be made to MIDA before the end date on 31st December 2021. However, important to highlight here that this grant is considered as hot selling and based on first come first serve basis and subject to complete submission form for evaluation purpose. I think that's all on what I wanted to share. I hope my sharing gives you some insight on available tax incentives and grant that can be tapped by R&D provider and facilitation that can be enjoyed by companies incurred expenditure on R&D. For further details, you may drop your inquiry through the link created for this event or email us at address as shown in the slide. We are more than happy to provide clarification. With that, thank you for listening and participate in this event.
Malaysia, your profit center in Asia.
Thank you, Ms. Siti Alimatun. I'm sure participants of this program have lots of questions after Ms. Siti Alimatun presentation just now. We can see several interesting questions being raised in the chat room. I would like to remind again that participants may post your questions in the Q&A chat room so that questions can be answered. Now, I would like to invite our next panelist for the presentation by the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI. The speaker will be Ms. Shirin Jasmine Ali, who is the Director for Supply Chain and Business Continuity Section under the Industrial Development Division, MITI. Ms. Shirin is an administrator with 19 years of experience in government administration, covering areas such as policy, research, corporate affairs, promotion, and project management. Today, she is responsible for strategizing and facilitating the industry development and growth through policies, strategies, and instruments. She is also instrumental in ensuring sustainability of the supply chain and business continuity of the industry during crisis. With that, let us welcome Ms. Shirin Jasmine Ali to deliver her presentation.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shirin Jasmine binti Ali. I am the Director for Supply Chain and Business Continuity Section, Industrial Development Division, MITI. First and foremost, on behalf of MITI, allow me to extend a very warm welcome to all participants of R&D for Business program. It is indeed my pleasure to share with all of you on High Value Added and Complex Product Development Program, also known as HVA. If you have any question, please feel free to ask via the chat box as we go along. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start the presentation by giving an overview of the manufacturing landscape in Malaysia. Malaysia appears to have prematurely deindustrialized since the early 2000s, mainly due to the increased global competition and the slow progress in moving up the value chain. Some of the challenges identified include, firstly, unsustainable manufacturing growth due to high dependency on foreign inputs. Basically, we are importing high value-added products more than exporting. Secondly, lack of coordination and monitoring of manufacturing ecosystem development. In this regard, there is a need to increase the efficiency among the government agencies and between the government and industry. And thirdly is the lack of effective technology and innovation adoption development mechanism. This is due to many factors such as the lack of funding, talent and skills. Despite these challenges, on the positive note, manufacturing value added and employment have grown over the years. Also, Malaysia's export have grown in all categories except for high-skill products. Moving on to the next point, changes in the nature of work and automation of global work process will require high-skilled talents in the manufacturing sector. Based on the World Bank's Aiming High report, Malaysian firms are less likely to invest in upskilling and innovation. This is based on the comparison made between Malaysia and its aspirational peers, transitional peers, and regional peers on the share percentage of firms that invest in training, R&D, and product innovation. Also, it is important to highlight that around half of the jobs in Malaysia are at risk of being replaced or reshaped by automation. In relation to this, manufacturing has been identified as one of the sectors at risk of major automation. In view of the manufacturing landscape in Malaysia, the government is committed in making the development of high value-added products as a national agenda. In this regard, the 11 Malaysia Plan has focused on nurturing the new growth area and scaling up catalytic subsectors. The scope includes electrical and electronics, machinery and equipment, and chemical and petrochemical industries. However, it is not exhaustive to other industries. The scope is then further extended under the 12th Malaysia Plan. Under the 12th Malaysia Plan framework, one of the objectives identified is to build a future-proof industry whereby Malaysia targets to increase the production of high value-added and complex products. As such, high value-added and complex product development program aims to improve the capabilities and competencies of manufacturing sector in developing high value-added and complex products. The program started in 2016. There are two components of HVA, namely the Product Development Program or PDP and the Market Development Program or MDP. The objective of PDP is to enable the development of high value-added and complex products. PDP is a form of financial support to enable the development of high value-added and complex products. Activities under PDP include, among others, awareness program, industry intelligence, research, competency development, technology acquisition and accreditation, and organizations that are eligible to apply for PDP are research institution, Institute of Higher Learnings or research universities, and industry via joint venture or collaboration with the research institute, institution of higher learnings and the research universities. PDP offers supports in the form of grant and matching grant. Meanwhile, MDP's objective is to bridge the gap for industry to produce high value-added and complex products. MDP is a form of financial support to scale up and enable the industry to produce high value-added and complex products. Activities under MDP include, among others, productivity improvement, capacity building, licensing, standard and certification compliance, and promotional activities not exceeding 950k per company paid direct to recognized service providers provided by MITI and institutions approved by MITI. MDP also supports infrastructure upgrade or purchase of equipment via soft loan. The support type under MDP are grant, matching grant, and soft loan for the purchase of equipment. Next, allow me to explain on the targeted outcome of the HVA program. With the objective of improving manufacturing industry capabilities to produce high value-added and complex products via research, talent development, standards development, technology acquisition, these outcomes are identified. Namely, number one, to increase in revenue. Number two, to create new sources of growth in the development of vendors. Number three is to improve industry competency by reducing the man hours. And number four is reducing the process time cycle. And all of these outcomes will contribute towards achieving economic empowerment agenda under RNK 12. The impacts identified are to create an efficient and competent supply chain, to increase value added to manufacturing industry, and to create reliable support system for vendor supply chain development. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the eligible subsectors that could be considered for the funding. This is the process flow of the application process for the HVA program. MITI is the lead ministry, MIDF is the monitoring agency and also the fund manager, and EPU is the RMK12 lead agency. There are 3 stages, namely pre-project stage, which takes about 1 to 3 months. The ongoing project stage is about 12 to 18 months, and post-project stage is between 1 to 2 months. The process starts with application submission. Those who are interested can submit their application via email. We will provide the contact details of the Secretariat in the following slides. The application will go through document checking by the Secretariat, and the Secretariat will later organize a pitching session, and the approval will be given by MITI via our fund manager, MIDF. MIDF will issue the offer letter, and once the offer has been accepted, there will be the disbursement of funds, and there will be regular monitoring and report submission. And upon completion of project, final report needs to be submitted to the Secretariat. And it is important for the outcomes for each project to be identified and submitted to EPU. And we would encourage the project leads to move towards commercialization. This is a snapshot of the forms. Forms can be downloaded from MITI's website. This is a snapshot of the MDP form. Ladies and gentlemen, just to share with you some of HVA success stories. The one on the far left is the development of fuel cell with onboard hydrogen generation by Pulsar UAV Sdn Bhd. It involves the utilization of the fuel cell powered UAV, and the technology has been used by the both tea plantation for the precision farming through contract services, and it has helped to increase the efficiency of the tea plantation. The second project, the one in the middle, is the development of the linen management solution by MDT Innovations. The project has successfully developed an efficient management solution through crowd monitoring and management domain using wireless tracking. And the third project on the far right is the solar PV testing lab. It's a project under CRIM. CRIM has developed the PV module testing laboratory to support the government initiative under the solar testing and certification program. The lab facility is able to assist PV industries in terms of the product development and compliance program. It also supports the implementation of regulation, if any, set by the government in providing verification, testing, and inspection services. This is to ensure the PV modules in accordance with the standards requirements. The fourth project is the development of battery monitoring system by Claymore. In this project, an application interface for battery monitoring system was developed, and it has been used for the electric scooter. The one on the right is the success story from the aerospace industry, whereby a demonstrator set of economy class aircraft seating was developed using high-tech materials to reduce weight of products. Moving on to the next slide, this is the contact details of the HVA Secretariat. You can contact us via email, or if you need more information, kindly visit MITI's website. Ladies and gentlemen, I have come to the end of the presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Shirin Jasmine Ali. For those questions remain unanswered during this event, the RD4B Secretary will continue to engage and address your concerns even after this session has ended. Please remember to leave your questions together with your name, your organization's name, and as well your email address. Next up, we will be joined by 3 panelists from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI, would like to extend apologies from Ms. Noraisha binti Karadin for not being able to deliver her presentation today. First up, I would like to invite our next panelist, Mr. Ahmad Faisal bin Ghazali. Mr. Ahmad Faisal has been serving in the public service for 14 years. Previously, he has been attached to numerous different agencies, including the Immigration Department of Malaysia, Public Service Department, and also Departments of Standards Malaysia. Currently, he is the Principal Assistant Secretary for the Fund Division under MOSTI. Without further ado, over to you, Mr. Faisal.
Assalamualaikum and good morning to all Honorable Professor, Dato, Doctor, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, especially to Maida, for inviting us to this program to share what we are doing in completing research ecosystem in Malaysia. I hope that my sharing today will benefit you in finding support to your research and to ensure that your research will be placed in the local and international market. Therefore, today I'm going to give you a briefing on Malaysia Grand Challenge. Before I start my briefing, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ahmad Faisal bin Ghazali from Bahagian Dana MOSTI, and today I will give a briefing about MOSTI Grand Scheme. The Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, or MOSTI, has launched Malaysia Grand Challenge, or MGC, to overcome the national and global crisis faced by the economy, community and environment. The MGC is supported by 5 funding schemes under the Pemacu Strategic Technology Fund, in short Pemacu. The main aim of MGC is to spur the country's research, development, commercialization and innovation, or R&D and CNI, activities in the quest to prioritize science, technology and innovation to turn Malaysia into a high-tech country. So we expect the granted project will directly benefit the economic return and societal well-being despite the challenges manipulating the science and technology in research projects. Thus, starting from this year and onwards, we are looking for a good quality proposal that have high chance to be commercialized either in the long term or the short term period. As I just said now, starting this year, we are looking a high quality and impactful research proposal. Before I explain more about our fund scheme, I would like to reiterate that what we have done in the past Malaysian plan in supporting research projects. As shown in this slide, we have funded research projects starting 7 Malaysian plan. We introduced IRPA back then to enhance socio-economic development and strengthen the capacity and capability building. Our R&D funding from fundamental, which include IRPA and Science Fund, to pre-commercialization stage, like our 5 funding schemes for 12 Malaysian plan. With Pemacu, MOSTI has implemented improvement by also allowing application from startup and multinational corporation, or MNC. There are 5 research and development funding schemes under the Pemacu program, namely Applied Innovation Fund, AIF, Technology Development Fund, TED1, Technology Development Fund 2, TED2, Bridging Fund, BGF, and finally, Strategic Research Fund, or SRF. MGC seeks high quality and impact research according to the area of priority that have been identified through 10 on 10 MySTIE framework, as well as 30 niche areas that have been developed. The 10 priority areas are energy, education, water and food, agriculture and forestry, environment and biodiversity, smart cities and transportation, medicine and healthcare, culture, arts and tourism, business and financial services, as well as technology and smart system. This priority area will be matched with 10 science and technology tracks, such as 5G or 6G, blockchains, advanced intelligence system, and others. Emphasis will be given to projects in the stage of experimental development that are practical and specific, as well as providing space for innovation toward a faster level of commercialization. Now, let's start with AIF. Applied Innovation Fund, or in short AIF, is aimed to increase the participation of innovators in innovative activities. It is open to individual, association, corporation, registered NGOs, sole proprietor, partnership, or limited liability partnership. The quantum of AIF is up to 500,000 for project duration between 12 to 18 months. Next is Technology Development Fund 1, or TED1. The objective of TED1 is to fund a project that aims to develop the concepts related to technology design, processes, or products that have been the potential to be commercialized. It is open to startup, SME, IHL, GRI, STI agencies, or community college and polytechnic. The quantum of TED1 is up to 1 million for project duration up to 24 months. After the TED1, we have TED2. It is a continuation from TED1. TED2 is aimed to fund a project that continue to develop the concepts related to technology designs, processes, or products towards commercialization to reduce the value of debt. It is open to startup, SME, IHL, GRI, STI agencies, community college, and polytechnic, including non-Malaysians. The quantum of TED1 is up to 3 million for project duration that up to 36 months. For application from SMEs, mostly would co-fund the project based on merits of each application. Maximum quantum will be assessed and the quantum contribution by the applicant is subject to MOSTI's approval. Now we move to BG Fund, or BGF. The objective of BGF is to increase the readiness level of R&D products in order to penetrate the market. It is open to startup, SME, IHL, GRI, STI agencies, or community college and polytechnic. The quantum of BGF is up to 4 million for projects duration up to 36 months. For BGF, for all SMEs application, mostly would co-fund the project based on the merit of each application. Last but not least is SRF. It is a top-down initiative for a development of strategic technology and innovation that can lead to commercialization from challenges offered by mostly to all nations in order to address national concern and to drive Malaysia to become high-income nation. The research must also be conducted within research priority areas and should complement with the current government initiatives. It is open to startup, SME, IHL, GRI, STI agencies, community, college, and polytechnics, including non-Malaysian. The quantum is up to 15 million for projects, duration that up to 36 months. For all SMEs and MNCs applications, mostly would co-fund the project based on merit and each application. The maximum quantum will be assessed. The quantum contribution by the applicant is subject to MOSTI's approval. All applications must be submitted through edana.mosti.gov.my. The applicants will be notified for assessment and evaluation. With that briefing, MOSTI's hope that MGC with 5 funding schemes that offered will highlight science and technology as a country drive in achieving high-tech nation status and also transform Malaysia from a technology adoption country to a technology developer and provider. Finally, that's all from me, and thank you for listening, and we will look forward for your innovative fund application. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Faisal, for the brief information on the Malaysian Grand Challenge. Now, I would like to invite our next panelist from MOSTI for the second presentation on Researcher Industry Scientific Exchange Program, or known as RISE. Ms. Nurul Fariza holds a Master of Science degree, a postgraduate diploma in public management, a Bachelor of Biomedical Science degree, and is also a HRDF certified trainer. Currently, she is an Assistant Secretary attached to the STI Enculturation and Services Division in MOSTI. Her role centered on facilitating strong collaboration between industries and government research institutions toward realizing the goals of national policy on science, technology, and innovation. With that, let us turn on our attention to this presentation by Ms. Fariza.
Researcher Industry Scientific Exchange, RISE. This initiative was announced in the presentation of the 2019 budget under Focus 3, fostering a national culture of entrepreneurship, under Strategy 9, triggering new economic power. In the presentation, as one of the measures to boost Industry 4.0, the government had introduced a researcher mapping program to place at least 100 researchers with the private sector, where the cost of placement will be borne by the government. The RISE initiative is planned with the goal of helping the industry in adapting new technologies, increasing innovation and productivity capabilities, and improving processes and systems through sharing of expertise, as well as building researchers' capacities in the field of research and development. This initiative is a platform for sharing the expertise of researchers with the industry to assist the industry in adapting the latest technology, enhance innovation capabilities, productivity, and improving processes and systems through sharing expertise, and develop researcher capacity in research and development. In order to assist the industry in solving the problem, the experts can be involved in either research, consultation, technology transfer, or training. The placement of the expert with the industry can be either for full-time, part-time, or combination of both. The placement period can be up to 1 year, and if there is a need, placement can be extended for another 1 year. So, the maximum project duration does not exceed 2 years. The target group initiative consists of companies registered in Malaysia, be it multinational company, local large company, or small medium enterprise. RISE application is open year-round to all companies registered in Malaysia. To participate, the company does not need to fill in any specific form manually. Simply fill in the required information on the website rise.mosti.gov.my. The industry is strongly encouraged to apply online to facilitate coordination and monitoring by the government. In the application, the company needs to fill in information related to the company, the problems encountered, and the expected period of cooperation. In addition, the company must also submit proof of company registration. The RISE initiative offers experts from the following institutions for solving problems in the industry. Among the success of previous collaborations are in developing new paddy characteristics with bigger stalk and resistance to the rice fungus, weather forecasting 3 hours ahead in every 10-minute interval, development of kit to determine natural honey. The task can be completed in less than 5 minutes, and water catchment monitoring using remote sensing image. The industry should take this opportunity as the RISE initiative aims to help the industry. In this case, the cost of experts placement to the industry will be borne by the government, while the industry only has to bear the cost of research if it is relevant. The industry will benefit in terms of solving problems encountered in day-to-day work processes or to improve existing products and services by using the services of researchers' expertise. To apply for RISE, industries can contact STI and Culturation and Services Division at the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation using the contact list provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nurul Fariza. Now, last but not least, we have Ms. Suhaida Muhammad Kamil Zaman. Ms. Suhaida has been awarded with Executive Masters of Administrative Science and has extensive experience in public administration, spanning more than 15 years. Ms. Suhaida current role is as the Principal Assistant Secretary of MOSTI Funds Division. With that introduction, the floor is now yours, Ms. Suhaida.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. I'm Sohida Muhammad Kamil Zaman from Fund Division, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Okay, today I would like to share some of the funds offered by our funding agencies and the MOSTI. In addition to the R&D funds that offered by MOSTI, we also provide fund of entrepreneurs through our funding agencies and the MOSTI to stimulate economic recovery and resilience, and also to build a stronger future in Malaysia. Okay, there are 5 funding agencies under the purview of the MOSTI, which are Cradle Funds, Sunan Berhad, Kumpulan Modal Perdana, Malaysia Venture Capital Management Berhad, Malaysia Debt Ventures Berhad, and the last one is Malaysian Technology Development Corporation. The first agency is Cradle Funds Sunan Berhad. Okay, Cradle has launched 2 grants, namely CIP Ignite and CIP Accelerate to early stage technology startup. Both of these grants are to provide more opportunities for local technology companies to explore innovation, commercialization opportunities, and accelerate growth. Okay, CIP Ignite is a grant to assist high-tech based startups, high-tech small and medium enterprises or companies initiated by universities and specialized research institutes for prototype validation. Okay, CIP Ignite is divided into 2, namely CIP Ignite 1, which focuses on deep tech startups that are in the technology readiness level, or TRL 5 to TRL 7, which is to convert validated prototype to market ready products or to refine their prototype. While CIP Ignite 2 focuses on tech-based startups that are in the TRL 8 to TRL 9, which is for commercialization of the product. The grant offered under CIP Ignite is up to 500,000 for a funding period between 12 to 18 months. The fund focuses on technology drivers and socio-economic drivers based on the 10 on 10 MySTIE framework by MOSTI. Okay. Meanwhile, CIP Accelerate is a grant with a focus on accelerating the expansion of technology companies, and companies initiated by universities or research institutes. This fund provided aims to assist early stage deep tech companies to commercialize their proven system and ready product in TRL 8 to TRL 9. The grant offered under this fund is up to 2 million for a funding period 16 to 24 months. The eligibility criteria for both of these fund, for CIP Ignite and also for the CIP Accelerate, the startups or companies SME must be a student berhad, revenue not more than 5 million per year, not a subsidiary of a company, or no other company holds 25% and more of the shareholdings in the company. Minimum paid-up capital is 10,000. 51% of the company's share is owned by Malaysian. And also, the startup must have minimum 2 directors. At least one of the director must be Malaysian, and also must have IP rights. Okay, that's all fund under Cradle Fund Sdn Bhd. The next one is Kumpulan Modal Perdana Sdn Bhd or KMP. KMP, on the other hand, provides an equity investment platform as well as helping to nurture knowledge and technology-based enterprises. KMP is wholly owned by Ministry of Finance and under the purview of the MOSTI, and their main activity is venture investment in high growth companies involved in deep technology within the electrical and electronic sector and in the renewable energy or green technology. Okay, the objective of this funding under KMP is to invest in high impact technology companies via influential minority position with a view of delivering optimal returns to stakeholders while meeting national development objective. KMP focuses their investment in E&E, automation, medical devices, renewable energy, and green technologies. The funding quantum is up to 15 million per investment. This fund is open to all companies from seed to expansion business stage that fulfill the eligibility criteria such as Malaysian-owned companies, foreign companies, or joint venture plans, incorporation of Malaysian-owned entity upon arrival of application, have proof of technology ownership or permission to use the technology, technologically disruptive, able to improve efficiency in the market. Venture investment offered by KMP focuses on technologies such as advanced electronics equipment or instrumentation, automation, energy-saving devices, renewable energy, artificial intelligence, agri-tech, fintech, cybersecurity, data analytics, 5G or 6G, sensor technology, medical devices, and advanced material. Okay, the next funding agency is Malaysia Venture Capital Management Berhad, or we call it as MEVCAP. MEVCAP offers venture capital investment programs based on fund of funds in collaboration with domestic and foreign investors to develop and advance the ecosystem of startups in the field of digital and green technology across verticals such as smart mobility, energy management, deep tech, for example, artificial intelligence, big data analytics, Internet of Things, agri-tech, and health tech. Okay, to fulfill the mandate given, MEFCAP plays their role in developing local venture capital talent companies, spur local venture capital ecosystem, attract funding partnership, create bigger funds available for competitive local companies, bring foreign technologies into Malaysia and support local infrastructure. Okay, let's have a look how MEFCAT manage their venture capital investment program. The first step is when the government channel the fund to the MEFCAT. Government channel the fund to the MEFCAT every year via equity or grants. Then MEFCAT initiates new fund in progressive and emerging industries to fulfill its mandate from government. The MEFCAT strategy is to create partnership with the private sector and international fund companies and co-invest through the funds in competitive portfolio companies. This fund or funds is co-managed by MEFCAT and their partners. Okay. Under the RMK 10 and RMK 11, MEFCAT has 12 funds, which actual total fund size is about 2.2 billion ringgit, where 8 funds are still actively investing, while 5 funds have completed the investment period. Okay, let's have a look at another funding agency, which is Malaysia Debt Ventures Berhad or MDV. MDV provides 3 startup financing program of funds for year 2021. The first fund is Technology Startup Funding Relief Facility, or we call as TSFRF. The objective of this fund is to provide immediate and targeted cash flow support for tech startups to sustain its business operation. The total fund size for this TSFRF is about 100 million ringgit. Purpose of financing is for working capital and business development, and their target market is Malaysian technology startup backed by venture capital companies. The financing limit and period is up to 2.5 million for the 5 years, subject to annual review. And the type of financing is cash line with semi-annual rollover. The eligibility for this fund, startup must be backed by venture capital companies, and the company is majority owned by Malaysian, or majority of the staff are Malaysian, or the majority of revenue generated in Malaysia. Okay, the second fund under MDV is MDV Technology Acceleration and Commercialization Scheme, or we call as MDV Tech 2.0. The MDV Tech 2.0 program was introduced in 2016, which is a financing and revolving capital program for innovative and technology-based startups to increase the commercialization of product or services and acquire purchasing technology to accelerate the development of their products or services, or increase the competitiveness of their products or services, especially to penetrate regional and international markets. The total fund size for MDV Tech 2.0 is about 100 million over 5 years under the RMK 12. The target market is for the young and emerging startup with innovative and disruptive product with compelling business plan. The financing limit is up to 10 million per startup for the maximum 5 years period, subject to annual review. The financing type is hybrid solution of equity or debt financing. The most critical aspect to approve this fund is by looking at the shareholder strength, cash or funding position, existing venture capital investor, net series potential, and exit possibilities. Okay, the third fund under MDV is MDV Technology Venture Financing Micro Fund Guarantee Scheme, or MDV Tech VFMG. Beginning in 2021, MDV introduced MDV Technology Venture Capital Microfund Guarantee Scheme program. This program is an initiative of MOSTI in creating a microfund or mutual financing that involve private funds for startup companies. MDV target to match and raise 50 million private funds into microfund or specific fund over 5 years under the RMK 12. The target market for this fund is early stage fintech or tech companies with developed products or services seeking to accelerate its growth via investment from sophisticated investors. The financing limit is up to 10 million with a maximum funding period is 5 years. The financing type is a hybrid solution or equity and debt financing. The key consideration for this fund is first phase only fintech related, shareholder strength, cash or funding position, existing venture capital investor, and next series potential and exit possibilities. Okay, the last funding agency is Malaysian Technology Development Corporation. Under the MTDC, we have three fund. MTDC provides the first fund under MTDC is Business Startup Fund or BSF. BSF is fund that open to high-tech and viable startup with the objective of reducing the financial burden at the initial stage of business and matching the business standard and high level of competition. Okay, funding instrument for the BSF is interest fee convertible promissory note up to 5 million or 50% of eligible cost, whichever is lower. 6.5 years, which is 80 months grace period. Convertible to redeemable convertible preference shares. Target group is early stage technology based company incorporated under the Companies Act 2016. Eligibility criteria is Malaysian majority owned company, technology commercialization, financially capable, high growth potential, compelling technology and innovation. Funding scope is CapEx, which is machinery and equipment. Working cap include raw material, admin and overhead. Cost of technology, IP registration, market and standards compliance, advertisement, marketing, promotion, and advisory and value-added service. Focus area for this BSF fund is Industry 4.0, advanced material, automation and robotics, renewable energy, ICT and digital economy, medical devices, healthcare, and biotechnology. And the outcome expectation for this fund is about their revenue, income increase, and also high growth. Okay, the second fund under MTDC is Halal Technology Development Fund. Halal Technology Development Fund is HTDF. Actually, MTDC provide HTDF to halal industry SMEs to support business expansion activities by applying the use of technology in the production of halal products or services. Okay, the funding instrument for HTDF is hybrid Islamic funding up to 4 million between grant and convertible promissory note, zero interest. The period is about 6 years. This fund is convertible to redeemable convertible preference shares. Target group is for the small and medium enterprise in halal industry incorporated under the Companies Act 2016. Eligibility criteria is also almost same. Malaysia majority owned company. Product have already obtained halal certification from JAKIM, and the company must not be subsidiary of a GSC or MNC. Funding scope is machinery, equipment and automation, raw materials, branding, packaging and labeling, include safety and market compliance, technology transfer, consultation and technical training fee, advertisement, marketing and promotion, and also include advisory and value-added services. Focus area under this fund is food and beverage, ingredients and additive, cosmetic and personal care, pharmaceutical and nutraceuticals. The outcome expected from this fund is to look at the revenue and income increase and also for the high growth. Okay, the last fund under the MTDC is National Technology and Innovation Sandbox Fund, or we call as Sandbox. Sandbox is NTIS is to provide financial access to SMEs or startups companies to develop and conduct product validation, processes, technologies or services that are the result of local R&D, output or innovation in a controlled environment, which is called sandbox. Okay, funding instrument for the NTIS is hybrid funding up to 4 million, combination of grant and convertible promissory note, up to 4 million, zero interest, project duration from 6 to 18 months, convertible to redeemable convertible preference shares. Target group is for the small and medium enterprise incorporated under the Companies Act 2016. Eligibility criteria is for the Malaysian majority owned company. Applicant must have successfully been accepted into the NTIS program. The technology must have a TRL of between 6 to TRL 9. Funding scopes include capex, working cap, cost of technology, IP registration, market and standard compliance, advertisement, marketing and promotion. Focus area is to be decided by the NTIS Secretariat. And the outcome expectation from this fund is technology or market validated, regulatory compliance issues are resolved and facilitated, local technologies are successfully commercialized, revenue or income increase for local technology SMEs. Okay, that's all of fund that offered under the funding agencies under MOSTI. If you have any question or to know more about this fund, you can contact or visit their website. We also you can contact themselves because they know further about this about their fund, and that's all. I think that's all from me today, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Suhaida, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we have now come to the end of the morning session of this RD4B program. We hope that all participants have benefited a lot from all the information sharing. We'll now take a short break before resuming our event at 2 p.m. later, where we'll be next having panelists from the Inland Revenue Board, Ministry of Higher Education, CRES, and also Cyberview. Before we end this morning session, we would like to invite all the panelists to turn on your video so we can take a picture with all the participants.